Hi, Jennifer Kinzle here, Fox Valley Homes, Charles Rutenberg Realty of Illinois. I hope you're all doing well, and I have a new question that I'm going to help answer today. We are in a very hot spring market. Spring market this year is jumping. Let me just say, we've got offers that are just flying through the air. We've got offers that are hitting the houses before they're even ready for showings. We've got offers that are flying in from the private listing side. We've got cash offers, FHA offers, conventional offers, VA offers, you name it, we've got it. They come in all shapes and sizes with all sort of different contingencies and expectations. So my goal here is to help answer the question, how do I get my offer accepted? So I've got actually 6 different ways. Some are kind of normal and inside the box, and one of them's a little outside the box. So in 2021, here we are, we've got no inventory. There's 30 buyers for every one home. And how do you make your offer stand out, right? You want to put your best foot forward and make sure that the home sellers are aware that you're serious. So a great way to do that is to remove the home inspection contingency. Let's say you want to check out an older home, which is totally fine. That's what we normally do. And we do recommend that you get a home inspection, but you can waive the right to say, I want repairs or a credit done, no matter what the inspection finds. For example, let's say you're buying a home that was built in 1980. And let's say that the air conditioning and furnace desperately are out of date, and you know it's going to be a problem. You can help the seller solve that problem by just saying, you know what, we'll take it as is, where is. We won't expect any credits. We won't expect you to rip out the old AC or furnace. We won't expect you to put in a new one, nor will we ask for a repair credit. Okay, so that's number one. There is also another way to put in a request for your offer to say, you know what, if the appraisal doesn't hit the mark, we're okay with that. We'll match it. We'll come up all the way up to, if it's 15,000 over, whatever our offer is good, regardless of what the appraisal comes back at, we'll match it. That's how much we want this house. We will, include extra funds to cover the gap in the appraisal. So you can do something like a short appraisal gap monetary coverage that you agree to pay that little oopsie that the appraisal doesn't meet. This is going to probably be a lot more common in this market because current home market inventory is not showing enough closed sales to support the bump up in prices. So number 3, I've got one that is very traditional in that every closing has closing costs. And in many cases, the seller would pay part of the buyer's closing costs, sometimes up to 3%. This is not that market. You do not need that on your contract. Home sellers have many options to not accept that, but you as a buyer could sweeten the deal by saying, hey, Mr. Seller, I see that, you're going to have some closing costs coming up. Let me make this even easier for you. I'll pay for some or part of all of your closing costs, which is a real turn on the head because it's not usually how it's done. So sometimes it can run up to, let's say in a $300,000 house, it can be 1% to 3% of the closing costs. So something to think about there. Another way to get around the multiple offer situation is to show how serious your offer is by offering non-refundable earnest money. Okay, that's some really tough skin in the game. So that would mean you put up your earnest money, let's say a significant chunk, $5,000, $10,000, and that if you decide to pull out of the deal based on a home contingency with let's say something blows up with air conditioning or the furnace, or there's some structural damage, something pretty massively wrong with the property, and you're just get cold feet and you can't handle it, you as the buyer could say, you know what, I'm out, keep my earnest money, I'm done. You're probably, skip yourself making lemons out of a lemonade stand there. So maybe that would help give the seller a little more reassurance that you're serious when you put a non-refund on your earnest money. That would definitely get a lot of sellers' attention. So the old tried and true favorite, the old standby, is the escalation clause. Now, this is a separate addendum that would come in with your contract, for example, that would state something of the effect, we increase our offer automatically by increments of $500, and we will be going from our initial offer of $285 all the way up to $300,000. So if the seller, for example, had another offer come in at $295, your escalation clause could bump you over just enough to be $295, $500, and then put you at the top of the game. So if price is the only outstanding issue, you might be able to nail this down with an escalation clause. Got it? Okay. Now, the last one is a little not so much of a favorite of mine. It's just telling your lender to create a pre-approval letter that's custom to the house. So for example, instead of like a generic blank boilerplate, hi, you've been pre-approved for $300,000 on any house in the state of Illinois, you would go in and have them create a custom one that says their address and the specific amount that you're pre-approved for. So it does customize it, makes it look like you've put a little more time and energy into your finances, which is always a good thing. So that is the top 6 that I've seen. Now, I should warn you, the little love letters that buyers used to write to sellers are not a thing anymore due to fair housing codes. There's a different line to be drawn in the state of Illinois, for example, that giving away your buyer's information, such as they have a family, or they're divorced, or they've got children, or there's some religious item in there, anything that tips the hand on possibly violating fair housing, the realtors have to pump the brakes and screech to a halt and not submit that. It's just being overly cautious as far as playing favorites, because something could come up. I've had, love letters that are written to my sellers with a photo from the family, and that could be seen one way or another. I can't get into the middle of that dynamic that if we don't pick their offer, then it could come back and say, well, you didn't pick me because, of my race, or because I have a family, or I don't have a family, or I'm the wrong religion, or anything like that. So all these protected classes in Illinois, yes, we can't accept those sort of buyer, love letters of how much I love your home and I can't wait to move in and I want to raise my kids in the backyard. It just gets down a path that it's just a little tricky for the ethics and fair housing laws. So we cannot really, in good faith, move forward with that. So if you've got more questions about your offers and why they're not getting selected, I'd be happy to help. If you've got other comments or ideas or something that's worked for you on your last one, let me know. Looking forward to chatting. Thanks.